All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. We got an update, an official update on the Matrix Carbon Foundation. Well, it really doesn't. It affects us indirectly, but it was the frontier people, the same people that I proposed to. They selected a pilot group out of Wyoming, a university. I'm thinking is what it was. It's like more than just an individual. This is a group of people collective people come together, and they're going to use the basalt matrix there in Wyoming. It's an older dike. I passed it over myself, even though it has a proven injection permit. The class 6 to so nothing is escaping. It's limited because it's old basalt, kind of like the stuff that you find in Wisconsin, Minnesota area, like that old basalt. Not that old, but it's old. The stuff in the Pacific Northwest is relatively young geologically, like millions of years instead of ancient. And so it would work better. But it would need the permit, basically the escape permit, so nothing is escaping. You got to drill extra holes. You got to drill extra, inspection wells and stuff like that, which has a lot more cost than what they're going to go through in Wyoming. And they went for the cost reduction, is what it was, to prove a point. Is it scalable there? No, it's not. It's very limited, a very limited pilot program. The Pacific Northwest, on the other hand, that is, by scale, that's a massive vault, which would be upward several gigaton vault kind of deal. The That's where it needs to be eventually, and it'll eventually get there. But it's going to take people like Frontier or other investment groups where they can drill $100 million in holes and say, okay, well, we'll wait and see, because that's what it's going to take, to make this really work. The Earth, about the end, I don't know all the scenes, all the different, the Paleocene, I believe is what it was called. There was a big jump. Everything was ruled by the dinosaurs for eons, for the length of the planet, like 3 billion years. And then, bam, within about 20 million years, everything mammal jumps to the forefront. Is that, like, possible on a evolutionary scale? No, it's not. That's not enough time to evolve into humans. So either we were on the planet with the dinosaurs, and that's how we evolved, and that a thing which doesn't make any sense because it's not meant. That's like a water world, is what I'm trying to get at, compared to what we are now. So yeah, there's a lot that doesn't make sense in the official timeline story, and there's a lot of stuff that won't make sense going forward. Like it's going to get wickedly hotter faster because it doesn't match their modeling. Okay, and hence, like I said before, I went up against universities with teams of engineers and teams in entire departments of workstations in modeling equipment. I'm just a slow hillbilly with a phone. That's it. I don't have a personal computer. I got AI, and that's where I was double checking some of my work. But other than that, I'm just by myself, not a team of people. So are these people going to come, like, are they going to win? Yeah, they win. Just like a city wins investment money over rule because there's people there that can work the job. Yes, in a rule application, you got Bubba Zed and Bubba Fred and Bubba, down the road. You got all these Bubbas, but ain't not one of them. If it ain't a shovel work, then piss on it. They don't know how to turn a screwdriver, kind of deal. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that they don't know how to turn a screwdriver. I'm just saying that everything is skilled labor, in their opinion. Nothing is just off the cuff. Like you got to go to school to learn how to turn on your phone, kind of thing. Where in the cities they take that for granted because that's a part of their public school system. To tell you the truth, I went to both. I went private school pretty much all my life. I went to public school in Illinois. I went to public school in Arkansas. And the difference between the two states is deafening. Deafening. We were thrilled to have bus, a bus garage, work, shop department, all combined into one. Where if they were working on the bus, well, we didn't have class that day because they were working on the bus in the bay that we needed. Okay, that kind of level of small. Okay, that's what southern schools are like. Then when I went up north, they had computer departments, and this is before computers. Now, I don't mean mainframes. I mean, we had those to launch into the moon, but I mean PC. Before PC, trying to upscale this, that's the little bit of electronics that I have in my background came from Waukegan West. In my ability to build motors came from Waukegan East. I used to bus across the city for those classes, is what I'm trying to get at. As a child, a world of difference between a northern school, industrial northern school, and a rural southern town. Not the same, y'all. Not the same. In understanding that it is where I'm coming from. That's another reason I didn't want private investment to begin with, because everybody in the private, they want to be the CEO. I'm going to give you 50 cents and I'm going to be the CEO, right? Okay, that kind of crap, that's silly because they're not thinking in the perspective that they should. This is way bigger than that. To get rid of the CO2 that everybody is claiming, that's about 10 gigaton yearly, annually. To get rid of what it's going to be in another 10 years is about 20 gigaton annually. The problem, y'all, is that the billionaires are unchecked. They need to be taxed. They have a mental illness. They can't stop. That's the problem. We got about 8,000 ton of aluminum waste in Leo. That's the lowest one to Earth, the lowest orbit to Earth. Then you got Mio and Geo. At Leo, we got about 8,000 ton of spent rocket bodies and crap. And then these constellation companies like SpaceX, there's one in China, I don't know their name. Amazon, I think, is trying for one. And there was one other one, a bigger one, is like SpaceX big, that are proposing the same thing. That's not going to make the problem of what's going to happen in the next few years any easier. It's going to make it significantly harder. But these assholes don't care because they'll just jump on their private plane and fly to where it doesn't affect them or affects them the least. That's what's going to happen. You're going to see the biggest billionaire snowbirds of them all, except when they total out the planet, they're not going to be really welcome. They probably should just stick to their bunkers, wherever they got those, instead of trying to take flight. Because is the day going to happen? Yeah, it is. Thwaites Glacier's cracking up pretty bad. And they call it the Doomsday Glacier for a reason. When that kicks off, it's like kicking down dominoes down the stairs. It's going to cause an event. Okay. And then all the space shit that they got up in space, this is going to be like a 3-part slap in the face. Is the Thwaites Glacier is going to calve. That's going to reduce miles of thickness of ice pressure on those on the west side of Antarctica. There's a big ridge of volcanic rift. It's going to allow that to go off, and when it does, on the Antarctic shelf, you would think that underneath all that ice, when it contacts the Earth, that it would be frozen because of all that ice. That's not the truth. That's not the way it is. It's not the way it was when I was 40 years ago when I was in high school. It's going to act like a hockey puck table, where the air floats it off, except this time it's liquid water underneath that ice. And they only proved it correct a few years ago. This is a thought that I've had for 40 years, over 40 years. that liquid water that's at the surface, when all this stuff goes down, that's going to become like the 1700 to 1 vapor of a hockey table. It's going to get much deeper much sooner than what they modeled. I'm sorry. It just is. Um, and then the water that gets in the ocean is gonna allow it to evaporate because they don't mix. Fresh water stays on top. Salt water's heavier, and so it evaporates, and then it just causes like the wet bulb and different things. Um, and y'all, once we lose control, once we have a an ice age event, and we lose control because we got to constantly steer this park full of trash shit in Leo on a minute by minute basis to avoid a collision and the Kessler effect where it all starts raining down at once. Um, and we do that minute by minute. If we lose control of this for a month, a year, even just a tiny, a micro ice age where we lose control, where the polar vortex collapses and we are just in a disarray for a matter of few months, that becomes our tombstone because the volcanic activity is sulfur dioxide from the volcanoes is going to cool the atmosphere rapidly as the aluminum from the space junk falls back into Earth. The ozone will be depleted, burning it up. It'll be a consumable. The ozone will just go away, but it'll turn the aluminum solid into aluminum dioxide, and it'll be like a mirror on top of the cooling effect that's from the volcanoes. It'll be like a glassy mirror. It'll turn Earth into Snowball Earth 2, the sequel, like a bad Hollywood movie is what's going to happen. Um, do we have an infinite amount of time to fix this? Yes, we do. Could we have done more? Oh, yeah, we could have. But we listen to really stupid people, like capitalists and billionaires and stuff like that. These are truly ignorant people. And I'm a slow, uneducated hillbilly, but these are deliberately, manipulatively bad people, is what I'm trying to get at. That's a problem. And we do have a problem here. In 99.9% of our problems is capitalism. It's just greedy ass fucking people that have no ability to stop on their own. They just don't understand that there's a limit to what they can do, and that's kind of a problem, yo. So, is what it is. I'm going to leave this one here. The last one got real long. It got woolly and all that, y'all. And I'm not into that today. I just want to say hats off to the people in Wyoming who got the frontier bid because y'all deserve it. But like I said, I'm not a whole team. I'm not a whole university. I'm just a hillbilly in the Highland Desert with a phone. That's it. And I appreciate y'all listening to this, sharing, liking, subscribing, commenting, and all that kind of jazz. But don't take it personal, because this is what happens. I get this not like uncommonly. Did I stop there for a while? Yeah, I did. I just stopped and I gave up. I just didn't want to play the game no more. I guess if nothing else, the AI gave me back how fun it would be to compete again on an idea, is all. And I knew this was coming up. I mean, it was coming up, we only had 30 days to prepare for it. And I knew the deadline, because the deadline had already been set. So, do I feel completely bad about it? No. For a 30-day deadline, I was dead on. And I still think we're better for, like, let's say private investment. I would feel much stronger about going with the Pacific Northwest, even though you have to file and apply and prove the Class 6 permitting over Wyoming. They had already done that. That's why they went there. Like I said, I looked at the same matrix. And it was just too old. There's a... how to say it? When your grandpa or when your uncle gets too damn old or your father gets too damn old, you try to humor them and say, yeah, you're the same old chip that you used to be, da 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 da. And everybody knows that that's a lie. This is what I'm trying to get at. You understand that the earth, if you're rational, you understand that the earth belongs to the youth. And that's why I keep trying to tell the youth to vote, to stand up for what you believe in. Don't take shit from nobody else, because that's the truth, y'all. Um, but do I feel bad about losing out to a university? No, no. That's exactly what it. I could only hoped to have lost out to a university, is what I should have said. So, okay, we're going to leave it like that. And just wanted to bump y'all up on the news. Doesn't mean that this ends. I didn't get you know, uh, a letter that says we're not going to go with we're not even going to entertain your thought or anything like that. And they're actually pretty good about that. If you don't hit the mark, they will come back and just say, dude, you're way off base, um, in which we didn't get that. We're spot on. Like I said, the winning idea was almost the same, except they chose to go with where the permitting had already been done versus, and they know how limited it is. That's the idea. When the permitting was already done, it proved exactly how limited that structure was. So at best, could they get a tenth of a gigaton? Probably. Maybe they could get that high. The other pilot project is only like 30,000, y'all. It's tiny, tiny, 32,000 ton. No, nowhere near. This site in Wyoming will be a couple 100,000 ton, which will prove the point, but it's limited in scale. You need gigaton, not like megaton or nothing like that. Gigaton. This is a bigger problem than that. But hey, it's gonna be good, is what I'm trying to get at. None of this is bad. This is all good. Okay, talk to y'all then. Just wanted to bump you up on it. And is it over? No, no, not by any means. Um, Maybe it is time for private investment for people who want to, come up with the $500 million to be much richer later, kind of deal. Um, if that's the structure that I go after later, I would have to like work with somebody like one of these greedy cunts, is what I'm trying to get at, to know exactly how to put down the carpet tax, is what I'm trying to get at. Um, the and that's really not what I want to do. So to be honest, in other than that, do I have like a lot of time on this rock? No, I don't. I got a couple more of these that I can do. Um, if the idea comes through, great. If it don't, it's okay too. I'm ready to get off this rock. I'm being in a wheelchair, trapped in a wheelchair. It is not quite um, the future to look forward to. That's all. I'm not going to lie to nobody. I don't want to be like this, until my old age. I'd rather just go to Switzerland and push a button. Um, but if I can kick it off one or two more times between now and then, I will. Um, yeah, I will. So, okay, y'all. Talk to you then. Bye.